So guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm asking a question that I've been meaning to talk about for some time. I'm quite looking forward to talking about it as well. Was Manchester City's season a good season now that the dust is settled? Because this is the best time to approach this question as well. The temptation is always to judge it as the season's ongoing, but you can't really get a feel for just how good it was until everything's calmed down and you can look at the complete picture, which is what I'm going to do today. I also would like to say, please do me a massive favour. Please do help support the channel and please do download OneFootball. As you can see on the screen alongside me, you can get all the football information sent to your phone straight away. Download it by clicking that link in the description or scanning that QR code right there next to my face. It's a wonderful app. Over like 10 million people have downloaded it for absolutely nothing. You get all your stats and information, all your transfer gossip for not just City, of course, from across the world of football. All your news, all the news in one place, immediately with notifications sent straight to your phone. So download OneFootball and help support the channel a tiny bit. Go for it right now. So yeah, basically, This question. The reason I've gone to this, sorry, I look knackered today, it's because I am tired. Football's tired me out, and I feel a bit run down recently. And I've had a lot of time to think, and I've been thinking about stuff. And this question's been on my mind for a while because I think football is a funny old thing where a season can feel good or bad depending on one game. We have this temptation just to follow our gut and follow our most recent feeling at times and not always look at the bigger picture. But right now we are finally in a spot where we can actually answer this question: was City's season a good one? And to do that, of course, you do have to look at everyone, not just Manchester City. You do have to look at the context of what it is. I would argue in a very simple, reductive form always that any season that Manchester City have, whether you win the league, it's a good one by default. The league is the best league in the world, and it's one of the hardest to win in the world. And we've seen the quality of Liverpool, yet we still managed to beat them to the title. It's an impressive achievement to win 4 times out of 5 years. It's an incredible achievement. Do not let anyone tell you that just because Manchester City got a lot of money, that therefore that somehow diminishes that achievement. It doesn't. It's incredibly hard to do what Manchester City have done, given the quality of the sides chasing them in this competition. Last season's European champions, miles off, and of course Liverpool, one of the best teams in the world, they couldn't quite pip us either. And it's possibly Liverpool's greatest side of all time, according to some of their fans. That shows you just how good this Manchester City side has to be. Money or not, the quality of this Manchester City side, it's really high level. And that comes down to the work rate, it comes down to the dedication, the focus, the intensity, and of course, that absolutely never say die attitude that these players have got. So I would say, at a very simple level, if you win the Premier League, you've had a good season by default. But of course, people will always judge Manchester City by the standards that they're expected to keep, which is apparently to win every single trophy ever. Guardiola has this effect, of course. Guardiola is a man so good that people pretty much move the goalposts. They don't just move the goalposts, they take him to another country entirely, expecting to still find the net. That's what Guardiola has to deal with. He's so good that his standards are unrealistically judged. Like, he's not expected to just win the Premier League. He's expected to win the FA Cup and the Champions League as well. Like this is the level that he's got. No one called Ferguson a failure for winning 2 Champions Leagues in 20 odd years. Ferguson hadn't won the Champions League by the time Guardiola was this state, of managing United, and Guardiola was with Man City. So no one called him a failure, and he spent a lot of money when you look at inflation and all that kind of stuff. So you have to understand that the circumstances are like that. Now, for me, I think it's really interesting that the world is about to fall apart. And Liverpool, probably our most competitive rival these days, showed you just how difficult it is to achieve what everyone else expects you to do. Liverpool, at one point, were on for a quadruple, or so we were led to believe, And in the end, all they were left with the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. Don't get me wrong, that's impressive. Of course it's impressive. Like, to win those 2 trophies, it takes awful lot of skill, an awful lot of quality. And to get to the Champions League final and to be pipped by just 1 point as well, that shows just how hard what they had to do actually is. Liverpool left this season feeling deflated, feeling like genuinely like they'd had their teeth kicked in the end of the season. And it left a massive shadow over the season. Is that really fair? Probably not. And I'm going to defend Liverpool a bit here. To do what they did is genuinely remarkably impressive, and it says it all that many people will look at that Liverpool team and what they did and still probably in the end view Manchester City season as ultimately more successful for winning the Premier League. That shows you just how fickle football is. It shows you just how things can be out of your control. It just shows you how much 1 or 2 unlucky days can influence the entire course of your season. And I guess what I would turn around and say is it shows you just how we need to look at the bigger picture, It shows just how much we need to consider the circumstances. And when that answer, we get to the Champions League. Of course, City went out again. Of course, it was frustrating. But once again, we saw what Real Madrid did to Liverpool in the final. Liverpool were probably the better team on the day. They had more chances and so on. But Real Madrid did what Real Madrid did. And this is what Manchester City were up against too. You know, City scored, I think it was 5 goals across the 2 legs. Yet they still went out to this Real Madrid side who have this just magic in this competition. Sometimes football is down to those little moments that you can't always control. A moment of chaos that leads to another moment of chaos. Sometimes you get 93-20 as well as 93-20 someone. And it really can be as simple as that. And Liverpool, they felt that Real Madrid thing as well in the way that we did. There is no shame in ever losing a Champions League game to Real Madrid. As much as they are not the Real Madrid of old, they are still Real Madrid. They still have quality players. They still have, you know, some all-timers in that squad. Genuinely, they do. So as much as it was painful in the Champions League, I could not sit here and say, in the way that people would mean it, that the Champions League season was a failure. Like, it was frustrating, maybe it was disappointing, but was it a failure? Look, no, we were literally minutes away from the Champions League final again. And, like, in the context of things, knowing what Liverpool went through against Madrid as well, looking at what Real Madrid achieved in the end, you have to turn around and go, they're a really good side, and football every now and then can do that. It's very hard to be there, you know, in the final moment, as Guardiola would say, all the time. And get the look that you need to win all those trophies. It's almost impossible for a reason. There's a reason no one's ever done the quadruple before, because football isn't always just about your quality. It's about a little bit of luck, a little bit of fortitude. You need the gods smiling in your way, man. You need it. You do need a little bit of luck to win all these competitions. And look, the more games you play, the more likely it is that something's going to go wrong at some point. That's just sheer probability. Like, if you play 5 games, you might win all 5. If you play 10, you're probably going to lose one of them at some point or drop points, just because that's probability. You can't be perfect all the time, forever. The more games you play, the easier it is to lose a game. That's just sheer mathematics. You know, that's just how it works, probability and all that kind of stuff. Like, so I guess what I'm trying to say is I understand why we went out of Champions League, and I don't think there's any shame in it. Of course, the FA Cup exit was disappointing. You know, when you look back at that now, I think it was almost inevitable that we had to play a weaker team in pursuit of the Premier League. And weirdly, in hindsight, I don't think anyone's complaining, you know. The Premier League was so satisfying in the end, so beautiful in the end, that I didn't really care about the other trophies. And I'm not just saying that to try and paper over any perceived cracks. There isn't any, by the way. I'm saying that because I mean it. Because ultimately, he showed you just how big accomplished it was, because you could tell just how much it made Liverpool suffer. And I guess you can only tell by someone's pain and how much it meant to us what an accomplishment it was. You know, that was a cathartic moment for the fans. And I think any season where you win a trophy, the Premier League trophy, in that kind of fashion, with that kind of story and that kind of momentum against a team as good as we were up against in Liverpool, well, to me, like, if this is what you get after a season, it absolutely was worth it. Because as much as that was painful on the day, that was something that will stay in my head until I'm old, grey, and about to be on my deathbed. I'll remember that forever. And those are the moments that ultimately define what football's all about, isn't it? Those moments are the ones that we tell to our kids, our grandkids, our family and friends. They are legacies. These are moments passed down through generation to generation. And if you get one of those in one season, then ultimately that season becomes a very good season. And I really do think it's simple as that. I think we need to look away from trophy tallies. Oh, but this season we only got 1, and another season we got 2. Look, that can be a way to look at it, but I also think it's a reductive way, because football fundamentally isn't entertainment. It's emotion, it's feeling, it's shared community, it's a love that you can't quite put into words. It's unquantifiable at times. Football has this grip inside of our head, and that's what makes it so special. And when you get a moment like that, that to me overrides the pain of the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup or the Champions League exit. That to me, because of those exits, makes it all the more worthwhile, because it's that sweet. It's that sweet when it hurts that much after, you know, beforehand. It really is that much sweeter. So the Champions League exit fed into that moment. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that we were lucky. We were lucky to witness that. And if we're lucky to witness something, I think we must have had it pretty good. And I do believe ultimately we'll look back at the season and we'll remember it. It didn't get all the other trophies. But do you know what? The team that everyone thought was going to sweep up didn't either. Because it isn't that easy. And football happens. Liverpool found out the hard way that beating Man City in the league is difficult. And we and Liverpool found out the hard way that beating Real Madrid in the Champions League is difficult. And there's no shame in that, you know. There's no shame in Liverpool losing to us. And there's no shame for us going out to Liverpool in the FA Cup and there's no shame in either of us losing to Real Madrid. And I think ultimately that is all that really matters. So you look at the broader picture, you know, we played some good football. Once again, with some weaknesses in our squad, plenty of injuries. The false nine finally been put to the bed, of course, with Haaland and Alvarez coming in. A season where, you know, Guardiola had to improvise here and there. You know, of course, the big signing was Jack Grealish. That went okay. It went fine. It didn't really set the world alight, Jack Grealish, but I don't think it was as bad as, you know, people pretended it to be. I think it was okay. I've got no doubt it'll be better next season. Obviously, that was pretty much it on the exciting signing front, so we can't assess too much there. Individually, you know, I think most of the players will be happy with the performances. The successes on the pitch, of course, people like Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, showing just how good he is. I loved Phil Foden's development as a player. It wasn't as spectacular as last season, arguably, but I think he probably was a more well-rounded player because of what happened this season, because he learned different roles, because he was forced to play as a false nine and adapt his game and play on the right and on the left, occasionally midfield. It's good for him, man. It's good for him. And he'll look back and remember the season as well in the way that we will do. In terms of the success with youth integration, I guess it was pretty quiet on that front, though we did see an awful lot of young players on the pitch, man. We saw Wilson Esbrand, we saw Egan Riley, you know, Romeo Lavia, 𝐿𝐸𝐻𝐿, of course, extended his contract. We saw, you know, all the usual people, 𝙄𝙬𝙨𝙩𝙖 at the start of the season until he got his injury, unfortunately, Delap, Palmer and so on. Palmer was probably on the cusp of breaking through, so that would have been really exciting. He looked like he was about to be the man, actually, until he got his injuries. So he was, I wouldn't say it was a big success on the youth front, but it was okay. It was all right. There were some encouraging signs there, and I want to see more of that. But overall, when we ask this question, going back to the start of it, I think there's always a temptation, and I see it from younger fans on Twitter and older fans as well. People throw their toys out the pram, 2 or 3 games, and they don't look at the bigger picture, and they don't look at the whole context, because honestly, the bigger picture, that final moment, it really can take the edge off the other disappointments. It really can, and it did. You know, and we don't always look at the bigger picture before we decide how we feel. We talk about the frustrations and like, oh, I can't wait for this season to be over. Can't wait for it, said some fans. And even though I got that, you know, people had already written off what this season could mean to people before it even finished. And guess what? We witnessed something special. And guess what? We saw from another team that we thought was going to take the gloss off our victories just how hard it is to exist at times at the top level of football. So that, to me, shows you that maybe sometimes we shouldn't count our chickens, you know? Like sometimes we should realise we've actually got it really, really good. So this season, it wasn't the most spectacular in terms of trophy tallies, but we had, in my opinion, a genuinely iconic moment that will stick with me forever. And we got the Premier League trophy. And of course, we've ended it by signing 2 great young strikers. Look, this month will always stick in my personal mind forever. Obviously, I'm going to be biased. I did some wonderful things working with a club that I love. But I think all you guys experienced those same emotions as me on that final day. And to me, looking back, now the dust has settled, I think the season was pretty damn good. And I think we're pretty damn lucky. And I'll always remember it. So yes, this was a very good season for Manchester City Football Club. And I think we're very lucky City fans. And once again, remember that. So there's just me waffling away and talking about my perceptions of the season. I'd be interested to see how you feel it how the season went. For me, it's a special one because a special moment happened. And that is enough for me. Guys, thanks for watching this video. Let me know down in the comments how you feel about the season. I'm not saying I'm right. They're just my opinions, of course. You're entitled to disagree with me at any point. You're entitled to think City should have done more. But I can calmly say, after everything has calmed down, that overall, we did pretty damn good and we got it good. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. And tomorrow, I'll be back with another video. Download OneFootball as well. In a bit, guys.